Hi, it's Mark from Friendship Shaving. Thanks for joining me. How are you doing today? I hope you're good. I'm just putting on my usual Pereira White pre-shave. And I'll let that sit for a while I show you some new stuff that I've got in the den today. Now this week I should say that I'm going to bring out my gold medal soap, the one that is my favourite at the moment. But before I get to that, I've got a new bowl in the den this week. It's from the Pereira Shavery in Portugal. Here it is. It is an indestructible bowl. On their website you can see a video of it being run over by a vehicle. I like this very much. It has got really good raised pattern on the inside. It's a nice big bowl. You can see if I hold it up it's quite large. Now when I face lather I like to have a bowl of clean water as well as the water in my sink, so this is perfect for that. It's really good for my brushes, and whichever one I use seems to fit really well there. But also when I take that out, this part acts as a spout for the water, so it's a clever design. I've used it pretty much every day since I've got it, and I must admit I've not been a really big bowl latherer. I normally like to face lather, but I've enjoyed using this bowl, and the fact that it's got, multiple purpose, i.e. I can use it just as a bowl of water, I think is a really great thing. Now I've got a new brush in the den. I've been sent a couple of brushes by DS Cosmetic, a Chinese company. So I've got 3 brushes to try out and test, and once I've used them all I'll give a couple of them away. This is a rather unusual brush because it's practically got a flat top, and in fact it will stand up on its own. It is a little bit flicky when it's dry, but that settles down quite nicely when it's wet. But I have found that I've had great difficulty face lathering with this. I have found it has quite a bit of backbone, and particularly in the middle where the hairs are shorter or the fibres are shorter than on the edges. Now it was really stiff in the middle, and I have kind of gone like this just to soften that down a bit, and it is a little better, but I find it excellent for bowl lathering, so that's what I'm going to do with it today. The fibres on here are lightly crimped. They are not a heavy crimp. The fibres are thinner than another brush that I've got that has got the heavy crimping on it. And the end of the tips are treated, and they are tapered to a very fine point indeed. And on the ends, some of the hairs are sort of bent over, more like that. Some of them are very definitely hooked, and some of them are even, splayed, split. And the idea of that, I assume, is to give the same type of feel as a silver tip brush. And this was the first thing I noticed about this brush. When you run your fingers over it dry like that, it is a very close feel to running your fingers over a silver tip brush. They've done a good job there. It's very, very clever. It's not quite the same feeling, but it is close. Now obviously with a silver tip brush the badger hair will absorb the water, so the hair becomes softer So for example, I find with this one, there's a lot of hair in here and it's quite well matted at the top, so it's good for both brushing and also for kind of spraying and scrubbing. So that's a good multi-purpose brush. This one hasn't quite managed that. I don't know if it was intended to, with this sort of extra backbone and bit of springiness. I found it sprays okay on my hand where I've got a hard hand, but I have had difficulty on my face. And when I first used it, and I really forced it to spray it, I got past the softer part of the brush where the tips have been treated and got into the just the nylon fibre. So I was just rubbing that on my face. So it didn't go so well. It is a lot better now, having used it for about a week. So it's becoming a really nice brush, but I would stress that I've found it a really nice brush for bowl lathering. So I'm going to wet that, and that's what we'll do today. And I've got my number 1 soap, and it is this one. Now, shall I show you the test for a really good soap? It's this. That's it. Your face does that. I love this soap. It is a Cold River Soapworks Select soap. It is their citrus. For me, it smells like a sweet lemon. They have even managed to make it smell just slightly fizzy. It's really, really nice. It always gives me a lift. It always makes me smile, and I just love this soap. And unfortunately, on my iPad mini, I can't, their website doesn't load properly on my iPad mini, so I can't tell you what the proper scent profile is. I can't tell you what the top notes, heart notes or base notes are, but it is a very nice soap, and it's my number 1 for the moment. Now, I've found this brush to be a little bit dry sometimes, particularly when I was trying to face lather. So I've gone in to load my brush, and I've had the brush quite wet. Now I'm just going to bowl lather down here. I'm not going to hold it up for you, but while I'm doing that, I'm going to describe the razor that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to be using my Gillette single ring Model 102A, and I'll explain more about that now. When Gillette first produced their razor, the double ring, the famed double ring, it had the model number of 100, and that was produced between 1903 and 1906. In 1906 they changed the double ring to the single ring, and it was given a model number 102, and that was produced from 1906 through to 1921. And between 1921 and up to and including 1929, they produced the 102A. It was still an old type. It still had a curved guard and a curved cap. But the guard and cap was slightly thicker, slightly different shave than the number 102. Also, during that same time, Gillette produced the 106, which was the new improved, and they did away with the curved guard and brought out a flat guard, completely flat guard with like a drainage channel just behind the open comb. And again, that was the same period, 1921 through 1929, And then in 1930 they brought out the Gillette New, which was a changed design again. So there we are, a little bit of history there. I know you like a bit of history like I do. And I'll show you the razor in just a moment. There we are, I've got a nice lot of lather there, and I've still got some in my bowl. Now I'm just going to really wet my face. So here we are, here is the razor. You can see, well, maybe you can't see, unless you know what the original looks like, you won't know, but this is the one with the slightly thicker guard and head cap. And I love this razor. I put it away and I don't use it for ages, and then when I bring it out, I'm always amazed at how good this razor is. I absolutely love it. Now I'm going to use a Lord blade today. This is a Lord Super Stainless. Made in Pakistan, I believe. So there we go. Now I know Dan from Vintage Life was telling me that he used a Lord blade the other day and found it very much like I found the Big Ben blade. I didn't like them at all. So we'll see if this is a good shave or not. There we are. Perfect. Now I should say that this brush has got a very nice face feel. It really is like using a silver tip. I think it's a, you know, it's a good approximation of a silver tip. So I can do a little bit of scrubbing, but honestly I find it much more pleasant with this brush just to do this. There are a lot of fibres crammed into this brush, whereas something something like this one, the fibres are much straighter, and I don't think there's so many in there. You can see some gaps there. So the brush has got much more room to work when it's splayed on your face. I always thought that a flatter brush would be good for face lathering, but perhaps I'm mistaken in that. Perhaps you might be able to put me right, but certainly for this brush, it's really nice just to use like this. I know I was watching Jeffrey Smith on his shaving channel the other day, and he was using one of these. Now, my little rituals. I was just looking for the case for this. I've got a case for this, but do you know what? I'd like one that's really, really nice. I'll show you what I mean in a minute. Now I'm going to shave as per Gillette's instructions. To come down the face at a slight diagonal. Which became known, I believe, as the Gillette slide. I know I've said before, but this was what I call my first proper DE razor. I did have a Parker. I had a 96R. Now I know Parker have got a good name, but the blade wouldn't align properly in mine, but it still provided me with quite a good shave. But when I got this, I felt like I'd come home, because you know, I got a Gillette, and it came like this. It was chromed rather than nickel plated. But this was the only razor I had for a long time, and I just used it and used it and used it because I didn't have any other razor to use. And when I got it, I was worried that the old type was going to be really aggressive, because that was what I'd read about it. But this later version is just, I find it to be a beautiful razor. It just suits me down to the ground. I love the weight, I love the size of the handle, it's just perfect for me. And that's why it's so nice when I bring it out to sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? To almost rediscover it again. To reacquaint myself with it. That's what I was trying to say. And I always remember my dad when I used this razor for a silly reason, really. As I said, the razor was produced from 1921 through 1929. Now, I choose to believe that this razor was made in 1928. And that's simply because that's the year my dad was born. So, you know, it's a really daft thing, and it most probably wasn't made in 1928, but I like to believe it was, and it may have been. It may have been. So there we are, that's a lovely first pass. Now, I've not used one of these handles before. I know some of you guys have seen them before, but I've not tried one of these. I find, as you can see, that it fits my hand really quite nicely, even like that. And, you know, you can hold it like that. It's quite a nice handle. I do prefer let me show you my rubber set, which you've seen before, my rubber set number 3. I do prefer that sort of shape of a handle with the different coloured handle with the slightly different coloured top. I think that's a real classy looking shaving brush. I'm just concentrating here because I don't want to knock all my shaving brushes off. But this is very comfortable. Now I've got some oh, I should say the bowl. I bought the bowl for, I said I got it through their Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign. And I'll put the link up because they still have offers as part of that campaign. Now I got mine for €20 free postage, and I believe I looked this morning, they still got that same deal. So and they've got another deal where they give you a soap with it, so you might want to check that out. But €20 is the best money I've spent on a bowl. And it's just because I like it, just because it's big. It's really useful. I tell you what, this brush is soft. Nice. Right, I'm going to have a quick rinse. There we are, ready for the second pass. Do you know, I can't remember what weight this little razor is, but I tell you what, I love it. And also, what I like about the design of these early razors is that they have the hollow handle. You know, there's a hole in the end. So when you're cleaning your razor after you've used it, you can just run water down that hole and it goes straight down the handle into the space between the guard and the head cap. And it just helps flush out that soap. I think it's a genius design. Could just hear a police siren there. Someone's in trouble. So there we go. As this is always obviously my favourite vintage razor. So I'm going to ask, what's your favourite vintage razor? You know, do you have one like me that you bring out now and again and sort of remember how good it is? There we are, that is just awesome. Now let me show you, let me reach over without knocking everything off. Let me dry my hands as well. So this is the case I've got that comes with it. It's cleaned up pretty well. It did have Gillette written across the front there, but it was wiped off before I got it, but in the light there you can maybe just see there's the echo of it just there. It's in nice condition, but I tell you what, I'd love to get one with that logo intact on the back there. You can see it's just come off, and rather strangely the case for the blades doesn't fit exactly in, it wobbles around, so I've had to put a little piece of card in there just to hold it steady, but it's a nice case, but oh, I'd love to get one with that proper stamp on the back, or I'd love to get a vintage stamp. Poof, that would be great, wouldn't it? I wonder how much they would cost. I bet they don't come up very often. So that is my shave for today, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Now I'll put the links up to the products. If you'd like to have a look, that's up to you. I would say I'm really glad I bought that bolt, and that brush was nice. So it'll be interesting to see how that brush compares to the other two that I've got, which I'll show you in another video actually. Got one planned for this Sunday, just an afternoon chat. So I'll show you the brushes and I'll keep it for then. Now I'm going to use my UK Wet Shaving Society Aftershave Tonic made by James at OSP. And I always think of my dad when I use this as well, because it's got a little alcohol in it and it stings. Now my dad was an electric razor man for many years. And once he got into using an electric, he never went back to a DE razor. But I do remember when I was a little boy watching him shave with a DE razor and then putting on the aftershave and kind of going as the alcohol kicked in. So that is my shave for today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch catch you on Sunday for an afternoon chat, as I've just said. But until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you very soon. All the best to you. Bye bye.